What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and let's get into it. Now we see the Utah Jazz are cracking down on people harassing players from a racial standpoint. When the details and the signs have all been there before. In my opinion, it's been time to remove the Miller Group of ownership of the Utah Jazz. It's time. This has been going on in Utah for longer than what people can remember, as far as the allowance of this thing to continue to take place. And the players talk. And this is why a lot of players don't like going to Utah to want to play, but especially people of color. A lot of free agents don't want to go and sign with the Utah Jazz. These players communicate, they talk, and what's the sense of having multi-millions of dollars and there's no place you feel safe going? So it's a very touchy situation, as the owner has banned a second player who called Russell Westbrook a boy consistently during his shoot-arounds in the 2018 playoffs. These are the type of things that keep you out of the playoffs, keep you out of contention, and it becomes a bigger problem than truly, noticed. Now, throughout the 80s, you never really heard too many, of these problems because there was no social media or what have you. But when you look at situations, when you look at situations about or problems and issues dealing with the Utah Jazz, you go to a incident that happened before with going back as far as I can remember through my own personal memory, was an incident that happened with Mark Eaton and I believe Bill Cartwright from the Chicago Bulls, if I'm not mistaken. That was one of the incident where Mark Eaton hit him and somebody called Bill Cartwright out of his name, called him the N word at a hotel incident out there in Park City. The fan basically followed him down the tunnel because of a hard foul or elbow on Mark Eaton. Another player, Alex English, in the 80s, who was guarding John Stockton on a play. And John Stockton was what they felt was fouled too harshly and cost them the game, and the referee didn't make the call. The player was so upset, and he yelled, apparently, N word, go home. You know good N word. You let that no good N word get away with fouling Stockton. These things have been yelled and nothing was done during that. This was during the 80s. Now, when you start talking the 90s, nothing was more infamous in Utah history than the Michael Jordan flu game, when the NBA lied to the American public and told them after the investigation that Michael Jordan just had the flu, when it was clearly documented, explained that Michael Jordan ordered a pizza late at night. He was the only one to eat the pizza and gotten completely ill. 5 people delivered the pizza. They gave the description of the 5 people from the pizza parlor. The pizza parlor place confirmed that they never send 5 people to deliver a pizza. That probably the delivery guy brought his friends because he knew he was going to deliver to a NBA team so that they would probably see NBA players. But no part of malice was on their part, and that they would give free food to the players if there was something wrong with the food or anything else, because they took pride in it. They wouldn't risk shutting their business down over an incident like that. They have had noted that they have served plenty of NBA teams through the past. This investigation took place into all of these things. So whatever happened from when the pizza got to the delivery kids or whatever, from that point to the hotel, we don't know. But we do know 5 people showed up to deliver this pizza. I already made this video like 4 years ago and told you Michael Jordan was poisoned, food poison. He's there with the team doctor and his personal trainer. They took one look and said food poisoning. They knew right away it's not the flu. Michael was the only one to eat the pizza and was completely sick. His temperature was like 103. There was no way. They thought maybe we can get 15 minutes out of Michael. Maybe. Let's try to get it early, and see if he got something late. If not, we're going to have to restrict him until he's ready to go the next game. Michael did not want to let them win. It was that willpower that got him through it. And they didn't deserve it. Now, this was an egregious act that was swept under the rug by the NBA, and they called it the flu game. And they show that game over and over how Michael Jordan overcame the flu when he never had the flu. The NBA knew that he was poisoned, but didn't want to have this big outrage all throughout the league, so they swept it under the rug and called it a flu game. Lied for Utah. So no slap on the wrist. No, it's just like, let's not have this happen again. Nothing for the Utah Jazz organization. And the Miller Group did nothing about it. Now, Karl Malone, Stockton and Malone, the dynamic duo, right? John Stockton, Karl Malone, the 2 favorite sons of Utah. One's black, one's white. The mailman, former MVP and most valuable player. Oh, I hope this thing is still working. Carl was amazing, and so was John as a basketball player. They were great. They were great to watch. Played the game, and after all these years, two back-to-back shots at going to the NBA Finals and coming up short in 6 games, then actually, losing out, and after all those attempts of keep trying to go back, he tried to, at the end of his career, go and get a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers. After all the years of servitude that he's given to the Utah Jazz, he decided, let me try to go get a ring with the Lakers and play one season more with the Lakers. And because of it, the Utah Jazz made a video ridiculing Karl Malone and making fun of him that they played right before the game. The fans, Larry Miller sitting there laughing with his friends as they brag about how unhappy Karl Malone is playing with the Lakers, with some guy on a radio station making fun of Karl Malone's voice and everything. Then they take a shot at Kobe Bryant and his allegations in Colorado. Karl Malone, who's giving you guys everything he had, they would have never done that to John Stockton. And Stockton went anywhere else and tried to pursue a championship at the end of their career. They would have never done that to John Stockton. Once again, the Miller groups was laughing. They allowed this to happen. Carl put out his statement of disappointment in the ownership and all he's done there. And they since then has apologized to Carl and made it right. But once again, the NBA has done nothing to the Miller group. Nothing. So now, moving forward, you have Derek Fisher playing on the team. I don't know which incident was first, but I'm about to say the Jerry Sloan incident. Let's take the Jerry Sloan incident first. Okay, Jerry Sloan, basically their lifetime coach, head coach over there. Jerry's a great coach, great human being. Jerry Sloan had Darren Williams, and he was a phenomenal player. He played here at the University of Illinois, and stated that the worst time he ever had in his life was playing over there in Utah. Saying like, I played 1 year somewhere else and it was better than 5 years playing in Utah. But this is reportedly being said in a barbershop here in Illinois. When he came home, like, you don't want to go to Utah. I don't know, it's shocking to us. But Williams is known famously for his fallout with Jerry Sloan, and Jerry, who's been there for years, just couldn't coach this kid. He's trying to, make it all about the game, but he wants special privileges that a young athlete wants, and this doesn't fit the Utah Jazz model. And the Jazz is like, well, look, we're going to do this. We can't let you discipline him, Jerry. He's a star player, and we don't want to lose him. And Jerry Sloan was like, you know what? That's it. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to coach a kid that don't really want to be coached. It's just the game's changing. And maybe it's time that I step down. So he steps down. And once Jerry steps down, it causes a big outrage in Utah. Darren Williams went under had racial things sent to his home. He had all this N-word die. Everything was sent to Darren Williams, and he's playing for the Utah Jazz. This is not a person on the road. This is a person playing for the team. It was bad. And again, nothing was done. They eventually moved him to the Brooklyn Nets. Because it was only going to get worse. They weren't going to change anything. Now we can get to the Derek Fisher situation. Now, the Lakers, Derek Fisher played for the Jazz, did well for them. But he left and he asked the ownership out of his contract so that he can go to Los Angeles to take care of his daughter who was ill. In Utah, it's a very small place. They don't really have for what his daughter needs, the type of medical care that she would need. She's very ill. So she needed to go to Los Angeles. So they allowed him to go and play for the Los Angeles Lakers just so he could take care of his daughter. The Utah Jazz ownership, the Miller family, understood. He asked out of his contract. They didn't have to do anything. He asked. And he had great reason to wanting to do so. So they let him go and do that. And once he went back to the Los Angeles Lakers and he came back to Utah, the fans knew his daughter's illness and everything. It was in their papers. They read it. They seen it. When Derek Fisher got the ball, they booed him. Booed Derek Fisher every time he touched the ball. It pissed Kobe Bryant off. He personally went ahead and destroyed the Utah Jazz. And in the interview, he's like, you seem upset, Kobe. He's like, I am upset. From the disrespect the Utah Jazz has shown Derek Fisher after what his daughter went through, and he played here for you guys. This is just the lack of respect. I was mad today. And I think he went off for like 40 something and destroyed the Jazz. So these type of incidents were happening in Utah, and the owners never took the chance, or they had plenty opportunities to tell tell their fans, it's time to cut this out. If you want to do all this in your home and stay at home and watch the game. Don't bring it here. Because whether you know it or not, Utah, you're going to need the brothers. You're going to need them. Because what's going to happen when Mitchell leaves? Do you want Mitchell to leave? Or you want to be back in the cellar, being last in the league? You could be that. So the Utah Jazz fans constantly, they've said racial remarks to Dame Lillard before, and he turned around and looked at a fan and gave him a stare of death. And the fan went and sat down. And it was a young kid. Then Russell Westbrook, who we all know as Angry Man. You know, you hear me call him Angry Man all the time because he plays the game with a lot of fire. You're looking at a situation where the fans saw that we can get a rise out of him. This is the target. We got to keep going at Russell Westbrook. Just to throw him off his game, let's keep it moving. Okay, there we go. I don't know what happened. Now, during the midst of all this, was that Supreme Justice Thomas Lee used the owners of the Utah Jazz front row seats for concert. I mean, for a game. Now, Governor Spencer Cox and his two friends started political action committee to support to a 2020 run for governor by the Republic, right? So they start collecting their pledges and everything. So law student Jake Lee was excited when his former boss offered to take him to as a guest to the Utah Jazz game when they played against the Lakers. So they were all excited they got to go to the game and everything else and sit courtside. And people was like, wait a minute, this is breaking the law. This is a bit unethical. Now, a Supreme Court Justice Thomas Lee and Lieutenant Governor Spencer Cox go and get tickets from the Utah Jazz owners front row seats. And nobody thought anything about it. Welcome to Utah, baby. Welcome to Utah. But on a serious note, the Utah Jazz got a serious problem. They have a very, very serious problem that they need to take heed of right away. Because yesterday's statement to the crowd should have been made 20 years ago. Gail shouldn't have been the one to make that. Larry should have made this statement years ago. This statement by the Miller family should have been in place years ago. Many years ago. You know what Utah is like for the Mormon state. You know how they are. And it's not, and I don't want to say everyone's like that because they're not. Okay, not everybody, but it is a very large majority of people in Utah with this same mentality. It has happened, it has been reported, and it's too many for me to even name for this video. But yesterday was the first step, finally, in getting this done, which lets us know that the new NBA has definitely told the Utah Jazz, enough's enough. We can't have this. Not in today's time. Not with social media the way it is. No way can we have this in Utah anymore. They're going to have to start looking to remove the Miller Group if they can't control it. So when you see Gail Miller out there with a thing giving a speech on the floor, it's serious. Again, if you like what you heard, you can hear the Cash App up. Carcino's the name on the Cash App. And don't forget to, you want to, if it's better for you to use the Streamlab, donate. The donate button's down there. Just click it and donate to the page, and we appreciate all the support. We're out.